Hey, Seattle Kraken fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. This is going to be a very special Locked On Kraken episode as we get you ready for the men's Frozen Four. Let's head over to the round table. Hey, Seattle fans, we did the Denver versus Michigan men's Frozen Four preview. Now it's time for the Minnesota State preview. We've got a full squad cast. We're really pushing for a round table here. So we're going to get you ready, everything you need to know for the second semifinal, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at TD Garden. That's coming up on Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, hockey fans? As promised, it is a full squad cast, so much that it's pretty much a round table, although we will be in a square configuration because of the magic of Restream. I am joined by Sarah Avampato, your host of Locked On Kings. Sarah, how are you?
I am doing pretty good, and I'm excited to see our square circle.
Our square round table. You know, it's going to be a good time. Yes, indeed. So thankful to have you back on another Squadcast. We are joined also by Jason Hernandez, host of Locked On Ducks. Hey.
Both of you are here. How's it going?
We're there. You're there.
Yeah, I'm doing the pointing like, hey, you're both here.
Good to see you. Good to have you. We've got the Pacific Division holding it down here for this preview of Minnesota State, Minnesota, and joined by a very special guest, although outside of the Locked On Network, very near and dear to me. I've been working with this one for a while, including making history. It's Kelly Schultz from Minnesota. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody from the state of hockey. It's actually snowing in Bemidji, Minnesota today, so perfect for Frozen Four for the weekend.
Ooh, I like what you did there. I see what you did there, Kelly. Fantastic. We appreciate you coming on. And Sarah and Jason, I know you have some specific prospects that you want to talk about. But for the first segment, we are going to focus on Minnesota State, the state of hockey. It's two teams, Kelly, from the state of hockey going head to head in the second semifinal. And we're going to consider you the resident expert on Minnesota State in particular. So why don't we get started with you telling us a little bit about this squad? I know that as someone who's called Bemidji State games, I'm sure you've come across the Mavericks a time or two. What should listeners know about Minnesota State hockey?
Minnesota's best goaltenders I've witnessed in all my career, at least, in Dryden McKay. He is unbelievable. His whole team feeds off of his energy, but he's got a team in front of him that's just absolutely loaded with a lot of talent. Nathan Smith, of course. I didn't have the chance when Bemidji State played Minnesota State. He was at the Olympics at that point, as was his head coach, Mike Hastings. But watching him here in this tournament so far, Nathan Smith, but they've also got a great defensive core. One of the guys that kind of is under the radar, but got a few mentions during the broadcast when I was watching, it was Akito Hiroshi. That guy is so strong. He plays a very heavy game, just a smart hockey player. They've got other guys on their squad that are just dominant. The matchup between Minnesota State and Minnesota, they've got some history. The good news for Minnesota State is they've got better history. They beat the Gophers in the regional last 4-0, and of course, on 7 of their last 9 against the Gophers. So I don't know if that's going to be an effect. I mean, these two teams are so different than they were a year ago. I really look at Minnesota State as being probably my favorite going into this first our second semifinal game.
Ooh, okay. The favorites, and you mentioned McKay, not only an amazing goaltender for Minnesota State, not only was the MVP for the Albany Regional, but also on the Hobie Baker hat trick finalist list. And so that's a pretty big feat there. Of course, let's talk about the All American and the stats. We see the record right there, Kelly, 37-4-0 on the season, 934 save percentage, 1.28 goals against average. Now, I mean, I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me.
He is very good. And I mentioned it, like watching him between the pipes, he just, nothing really shakes him. Gets down, he somehow finds a way to pull himself together, and his team plays in front of him so strong. He's just so dynamic to watch. Like I said, one of the best years, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up winning that Hobie Baker. If not, he'll be up for the Mike Richter Award. So,
yeah, amazing. Is a senior from Illinois, 112, 19, and 4 NCAA career record. That's just like, I don't know that there are many teams that have that record. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Okay,
no.
Kelly, go ahead. Go ahead.
A lot of people in the CCHA are looking forward to him graduating and moving on to the. That's all we got to say. He's incredible to watch, just not incredible to play against.
Indeed. Wow. Wonderful. For those, as you mentioned, in the conference, Bemidji, I believe, included, because there was that whole restructuring. I get confused now because it's not a like for like with the WCHA anymore, which is we can bring you back for that one. I am very intrigued by all of that. But okay, so I honestly don't know all of the college history here, but what are the odds that we see a goalie be able to win that Hobie Baker Award? I know on the women's side it's very difficult.
Oh, it is very difficult. I don't know how rare it is, to be honest. You put me on the spot here. I don't know how many goalies. I'd have to look back and Hobie Baker, but he is pretty dominant. Right. So, like I said, if he doesn't get the Mike Richter Award, obviously he's one of the favorites.
Yeah, indeed. Also worth noting that we mentioned those numbers, and McKay undrafted. So not someone that is a prospect, but as I mentioned, we have two other folks that we're going to bring in here, Kelly, that are going to talk about the team that Minnesota State is going to take on. And they do have some prospects coming up in this game. So why don't we hear from them, Kelly? We're going to bring you back in just a moment. But first, though, Sarah and Jason, I want to have you react to what you heard from Kelly talking about Minnesota State. I mean, a lot of times in hockey, we talk about how important dominant goaltending is. Do you think this is going to be something that becomes advantageous for Minnesota State as they face Minnesota in the semifinal?
I mean, now I'm terrified of their goalie. I don't think I had particularly seen his stats this season. They're not a team that I have a prospect on, so I haven't watched them that closely. But you read off those numbers, and I'm like, well, cool, great.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because the Golden Gophers took out a very strong team in Western Michigan. Not only beat them, they shut them out very well. And I got to give props to Justin Close, filling in the shoes of someone that you've seen a lot of, Sarah, Jack LaFontaine. Filling in those shoes was a big ask. So I got to give Justin Close a lot of credit for coming on strong. His numbers are even better than LaFontaine, if you can believe that.
Okay. So I want to save the good stuff for the next segment where we are going to talk all about the Minnesota Gophers. Again, we have Sarah, we have Jason, and we have, of course, Kelly Schultz joining us for this very special round table as we get ready for the men's Frozen Four. Now, we had a first time champion on the women's side, the Ohio State University. It's a lot of steeped history on the men's side, so we'll see who takes home the title. Coming up next, though, we're going to focus on the Golden Gophers. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters, Championships, odds, podcasts, and reviews for all of the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And we're back for the second segment. Again, we have Kelly Schultz. Kelly, you were able to break down what's going on with Minnesota State. Sarah was saying she didn't know what they had facing in net, Minnesota, that is. So we'll see what happens. Jason says he's not scared. Kelly, we're going to take you off screen just for a moment because we're going to focus on the Minnesota Golden Gophers here. All right. So, Jason, let's start with you. You said, I ain't never scared, right? So let's go. What gives you confidence in this Minnesota squad to get past Minnesota State?
I thought their goaltending looked spectacular on that game. Justin Close, I have looked at his stats pretty much all season long, and they eclipse LaFontaine. His goals against is only 1.8. His save percentage is also up there at a 929. He's looked spectacular, especially the last few games. I particularly look at his last game against Western Michigan because he was doing very good with his lateral movement. And I just think overall, he's a little bit more calm around the net. He doesn't play outside of the crease all that much compared to other goaltenders. He's just very calm, very cool, will talk to his teammates at times. So I like his goaltending a little bit better. But I think Sarah has something to say about LaFontaine as well, who's no longer there, who's now in the Carolina system with the Wolves. But I look at both these goalies, and I think that Justin Close is a little bit more to the book, and I think that will fare well for them.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very weird situation that they have found themselves in this season. Justin Close is in a role that he did not expect to be in because they went into the season with Jack LaFontaine as the starter. He was in his third season. He is the captain of the team because in college hockey, your goalie can be your captain. Like, cool. LaFontaine doing fine with Minnesota. And then he is a prospect of the Carolina Hurricanes organization who at one point had literally every goalie under contract get hurt. They were down to they had one guy in the NHL. Their AHL guys were basically like an E-bug and an ECHL guy. Like they had no one. And they essentially went to Jack LaFontaine, who was their only available prospect who could conceivably make the jump to pro in the middle of his season and said, do you want to play in the NHL? And so, of course, he says yes. I mean, he has a long think about it because, you're playing for one of the best college teams in the country. You're going to have a shot at the Frozen Four, but NHL. So middle of the season, Jack LaFontaine leaves, turns professional, and hands the crease over. And it's you wouldn't know that they just went through this very bizarre upheaval in their net situation because, like Jason said, it's been fine. You wouldn't know that anything bizarre happened. But I cannot think of any other time I've ever seen this happen of a player mid-season just being like, yep, I'm out. And they needed him. They legit had no other goalies. He made his NHL debut already because they had no one left to play.
Wow, that is absolutely wild and bizarre. And so we'll take a look at Justin's numbers here. Yeah, games played throughout the career, that's what we're looking at. So it's not like there's a lot of experience for career stats for Justin Close. I don't even think the website has fully updated his stats going in to this game. Like, that's what's up there. So, I mean, that's 1920, 2021. This is the 2021-22 season, just in case anyone was curious. So I mean, what a wild situation. But hey, you take the opportunities as they come, and Minnesota is taking that all the way to the Frozen Four. Another thing though, and I know I talked about it when I spoke to Jay in our first preview, but there's a lot of Olympic experience. I mean, another thing about these athletes and a lot of these teams is that they've had a little bit of experience, maybe not as acute as what you just explained, Sarah, but having players come in and out of the lineup, because no NHL players at the Olympics means that you did get to see some of these guys at the Olympics. So I know that I'm going to bring Kelly back in here because, you mentioned Nathan Smith, obviously played for the United States, was one of the, actually with Maddie Beniers, was one of the people that was kind of touted around pre-Olympics to get the team going. But you also have several Olympians on the Gophers as well. I mean, Ben Myers, Matthew, how do you say it? Knees? I don't know. And Brock Faber. So I want to take you, let's talk about Brock. Sarah, I believe that's your department.
That is. He is one of the most highly touted defensive prospects the Kings have in their system. I just got done saying that I haven't seen any player leave midseason to go to their NHL team to start their contract. But the Kings right now, they're getting healthier. But at one point, they had one guy left on defense who had been on their opening night roster, and the rest were AHL call-ups because everyone had gotten hurt. And people were sitting there looking at the Frozen Four, looking at the men's college tournaments, going like, we know Minnesota's good, but maybe they could lose. And then because the everyone knows essentially that as soon as his season is done, Brock Faber is signing a deal to turn pro. That everyone thinks he is. He has been a huge part of this team. But Kings fans, they want to see him go the whole way. They want to see him win the championship, but they also were a little bit like, but they could lose and he could come here and play for us and it'd be great. But he has been a huge part of that team. I feel like if you look at anyone talking about, players to watch or keys to success for Minnesota, it's kind of one of those things. As Brock Faber goes, so is this team going to go. On defense, he's a fantastic skater. He has kind of I would say his game is simple. He's not flashy. He's not going to wow you with like crazy trick shots or anything, but he's been a standout at college. He was, it was unfortunate that the U.S. Olympic team didn't get to go very far because he was already playing the most minutes in many of those games for a U.S. defenseman as one of the younger players out there. So it's a little bit of what could have been, but he's a very exciting prospect. And Kings fans are like, man, well, he's here now, so might as well just win the whole thing.
Yeah, if he's not going to be with us, might as well,
Right.
win something.
Yeah.
I hear that. All right, Kelly, I want to come to you because you come from the college game. You call college hockey, both women's and men's side. So there's a difference, though, in what we see from what Sarah was talking about as far as players coming in and out or being offered that opportunity. But it's also different when there is an opportunity for college players to play in the Olympics, because as far as I know, on the men's side, it's not like they sit out a year and then have that left as eligibility. They go to the Olympics, they do their thing there, and then they come back. So, what can you say about what it's been like over the years to cover some of those college athletes on the men's side that have come back and forth?
Well, it's been great to watch. Like I said, I didn't have a chance to watch Nathan Smith in person. Again, he's missed 6 games because of the Olympics. He comes back and he leads his team with 50 points. To me, it just, that experience he gets as an Olympian is priceless, basically. And the fact that he was coached by his college coach at the Olympics is even big. consistency for him. But it has been fun to watch. I love that they pulled the college kids into the Olympics rather than the pros. I think it's a great experience, a world stage, or the pros, they've already got that playing in the NHL or the AHL or whatever. But I think it is, I mean, let's go back to 1980, amazing men's Olympic year I think I've ever witnessed. Of course, I was, and I won't tell you how old I was, but I do remember watching it. And it was kids. I mean, I'm from the state of Herb Brooks, so, you know, it's what it is.
Yeah, indeed. Very cool experience to see some of those young guys. As Sarah mentioned, USA didn't quite advance the way they wanted. I thought they looked really good, really strong. Just came up against a team that wasn't really ready to go home yet. That's them's the breaks. And I don't know where Maddie Beniers was in the shootout, but maybe I'm biased. Who knows? Locked on Kraken host. Who knows? Got to be there in Beijing, China, just to see. Well, not just, but I was at the. I will say I was at the men's tournament only for Maddie Beniers, with respect to everyone else. But the only reason I upset my sleep pattern was to watch Maddie Beniers. He had a great tournament though. But all right, Jason, you've got some prospects with some opportunity also here. So let's talk about what the Ducks are thinking. So I don't know. It sounded like the Kings fans are now okay with Faber staying, but for a while there, maybe they were teetering. What's the vibe from the Ducks fan camp?
That's their vibe right now. They just traded away half their team for a lot of draft picks, so that's their vibe right now. Sad to say.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, we can relate.
Exactly.
So there's one defenseman in particular that I know Ducks fans are kind of salivating over watching, and that is Jackson Lacombe, who, by the way, I'm trying to get my hair as curly as Jackson. Not quite as blonde, but almost as curly. He is the prime defenseman for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. In fact, leading all defensemen in Minnesota right now with 30 points, 3 points and 27 assists. But he's kind of a prototypical, just great hands, good puck sense, good on special teams as far as Lacombe is concerned, and a great junior. And by the way, Sarah, I don't know if you saw him, but he also played for the Chicago Steel back in the USHL. So that might be a name that you recognize, Sarah, from back in the day.
Yeah, both of your guys, him and McLaughlin, right? Yeah,
that's the other one. There it is.
Yeah,
look at that flow. I don't know if you got the sauce for that, Jason. I'm respectfully, I don't know that anyone does. That is serious.
Wow. That's a beautiful head of lettuce. I'm not gonna lie there.
It really is. But yes, Lacombe, you've got another one. All right.
Yeah, so a little bit more on Lacombe. So his defensive play, I think, could help the Ducks further on. And when you talk about a guy that I think could be very good for a second-round pick back in 2019. By the way, same draft as some guy that's also a Duck. That's really good. I think he had a lacrosse goal or two. Same draft. I say the Ducks drafted well there. They just brought up another defenseman that was playing in college, and that is Drew Hellison. Drew Hellison just made his debut with the San Diego Gulls, got his first point last weekend against Tucson Roadrunners. So that's another defenseman that the Gulls just brought up. And the reason for that is because the Ducks traded away all their guys, or all their other guys got hurt. I mean, yeah, sorry, there's no more Josh Manson, among other players. So San Diego's looking to get some guys back because they can't rely on Jacob Larson all the time. So I know Ducks fans are saying, oh, it's a shame that Minnesota won again. We really want to see Lacombe make his professional debut. Oh, darn. But he's one of the heart and soul players of that team. And someone else, Sarah, that I know you're familiar with, Blake McLaughlin. How can you not be excited about Blake McLaughlin? I feel that's one of the steals in that third round 2018 draft. When you think about a guy that went all the way down to number 79, and he is right now almost leading his team in points. In fact, he is number 2 in points for the Golden Gophers this season, 33 points, right behind Ben Myers. But I like McLaughlin's game a lot. He's got some clutch goals this season, including, by the way, a very important goal against Western Michigan, who they just shut out. So I look at both of these guys, their style. I mean, McLaughlin's style is he's very good at puck protection. He's good at finding open shots. I wouldn't say he's a shot first kind of guy, but he's someone that can get to the open spots when he needs to. So I cannot wait to see him possibly play with the Ducks later on. I would say probably the goals more likely, but I would like to see him make his pro debut pretty soon. And Jackson Lacombe especially. I am super, super excited about Lacombe coming down here to sunny SoCal, playing for the goals later this season. Can't wait.
I mean, I don't know. That golden
hair. Got to win
hair.
the title first.
Got to win the title first. That golden hair in sunny Southern Cali. That's a lot.
That's gonna look good.
That's gonna be pretty sharp. Not gonna lie. Got to make sure to invest in some solid sunblock though for the rest of it. I think the curls, the coils, the tress is gonna be amazing. Just got to make sure everything, the skincare routine has got to be on point.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the shake head like thing, but it's so hard.
Yeah. Like on the beach, like the wind flowing through his hair, like the sand, like the spray of the ocean. Like he's perfect. Perfect for Southern California.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Amazing. Amazing. All right. Well, coming up next on the show, in addition to all of us sharing our hair care routine, we are going to give our predictions for the Frozen Four. Oh, this is amazing. All right, hockey fans, we are back for our third and final segment of this square roundtable talking about the men's Frozen Four. This is the semifinal 2 preview, Minnesota State versus Minnesota. Of course, we have the amazing Kelly Schultz, Sarah Avampato, and Jason Hernandez joining me on this show. I should probably say who I am. My name is Erica Ayala. I'm your host of Locked On Kraken. I am kind of running this roundtable because all 3 of these people are definitely amazing and do the hockey, and I trust them with maybe not my life, but certainly with my hockey knowledge. All right, so now it's time. We're going to go around the horn. We opened the show with Kelly, so we're going to give you a reprieve. You'll get to have the last word on this. So, Jason, let's start with you. We've got these 2 teams going head to head. Not only what do you see in semifinal number 2, but who do you think the winner of this semifinal is going to play on Sunday? Yes, on Sunday for the national championship.
This is tough to call because I actually saw a little bit of Minnesota State, and yes, I'm still not scared, but I'm slightly concerned because of how well they did against Notre Dame and Harvard. But I looked at the last game of Minnesota, and they were just clicking on all cylinders. And I think Western Michigan was one of the best teams in the tournament outside of Michigan. So I'm going to say Minnesota, but only by 1 goal. I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a close game, more of a defensive battle. I think Lacombe could be a factor defensively on this one. And I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, going to call my shot if McLaughlin gets a game-winning goal. So I'm going to say 2-1.
Ooh, all right, 2-1.
And I'm also going to give a shout out, by the way, to another Golden Gopher right now who's got some lineage, and that would be Bryce Brodzinski, who's the youngest of the Brodzinski brothers. By the way, Sarah, Michael Brodzinski played for the San Jose Barracuda. And Sarah, Johnny Brodzinski, you're familiar with him, right?
I am. They couldn't figure out a way to make him work, but now he's a Ranger. We don't talk about the Rangers.
Oh,
yeah, but 2-1.
2-1. 2-1. All right. Okay. Before I let you go, who do you have them playing in the Natty?
It has to be Michigan. It has to be the Wolverines. They have too much talent on their team. I just have to call it like it is. I mean, no offense to Denver. I think Denver is an extremely good team. By the way, shout out University of Denver, pride of Troy Terry. Just saying. But, man, Minnesota just looked really good their last couple of games. I mean, there was some cracks in the armor against Quinnipiac.
Mhm.
And no, you know what? No, I'm going to change my
Oh.
mind.
What?
Denver over Michigan. Denver over Michigan.
Ooh, all right.
Spicy.
All right.
I'm going to be spicy here.
On that note, I'm taking you off the screen. Goodbye. Sarah, you're up. Not that I'm biased. Absolutely not. I just
All
want
right. So I'm definitely going with the Golden Gophers to take this one.
Okay.
For many of the same reasons that Jason said. I think that they're kind of all clicking on the same cylinders. I think that they have gotten to the point where they've seen what they have to do to win. And I think that everyone is dialed in. Bob Motzko is a fantastic coach, just a long legacy of being really great, and would love to see him get this team over the hump. So I think that the Golden Gophers come away winners, but I also think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout in either way. And my take, I'm not going for the spicy take. It's Michigan. It's Michigan. You look at that roster. There's so many of them. They're all so good. It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's a pretty stacked team. It's kind of like an all-star team coming together. I think it's also been interesting. Obviously, I know, and I'm hearing the stories more from, the locker room adjacent in these COVID times, but, hearing the conversations around the team about how they really wanted to make a run. A lot of them having a feel that they would get an opportunity to be drafted, and that obviously changes things in the short term for them. But they really felt like a team, Matty Beniers in his first season, and wanted to have a go. So, I mean, that's pretty powerful. That being said, I know I took him off screen, but I have to admit that there have been some scary moments with the Wolverines. So I think it's going to be about discipline for them for sure. All right. So it's split decision so far. So we'll bring in our next guest here. Sarah has said her piece. Kelly, it's your turn. Who you got?
All right, this is it. I really think Minnesota State is going to win. They're bringing in Dryden McKay, who is so much experience in these big games. I think you look at the Gophers, their lack of experience on them, plus the Mavericks have 4 guys with more than 40 points. They've scored a lot more goals than the Minnesota Gophers this year. Minnesota State, I think it's going to be a shutout for McKay, and I think they're going to win by 2 or 3 goals.
Ooh, okay. 2 or 3 goals. Oh, the shock. Let's bring them on. The shock. All right.
I love it. Sorry, Jason.
All right. We're taking them back.
Jason, the Gophers are so strong.
All right. So you gave us your semis, but now who does Minnesota face in the Natty Championship, and who ultimately gets to take home the prize?
I think Minnesota State is going to end up playing. Is so stacked. I'd love to see Denver win, but there's a part of me that just knows Michigan has so much talent. I mean, Erica, you and I heard the Hughes name. Well, Michigan fans know Luke Hughes, and he has been so good. I think it's going to be a really close game.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be pretty close. I think, again, it's going to come down to the team that makes the fewer mistakes, and that might be Denver. I think they have a team that could definitely upset Michigan, but at the end of the day, I think Michigan does have a pretty solid goaltender, and they can pretty much score at will, and I think that will be a difference maker. I think they're going to get it together. I don't think they're going to leave too much room for Denver to kind of squeak in there. I think they have that they can level up that game and really just stay focused. That's what they got to do, is stay focused. All right, everyone. Well, we went around the horn. I already said this, but I'll let you know I'm going Michigan all the way through. I also let people know, though, when I started the Locked On Kraken show, that I am a mush, as in from, the movie A Bronx Tale. So maybe I should pick somebody else. Maybe I should pick someone else if I really want Michigan to win. But we'll see what happens. And I'm gonna say Michigan, and I'm gonna take Minnesota State. I kind of like that storyline. I think that could be really great. Michigan, kind of the team that everyone's expecting. Minnesota State, I kind of feel like they might feel some kind of way going into this Frozen Four. I kind of feel like they might feel a little disrespected, and I'm not sure that they should, given some of the stats and facts that we've talked about. But either way, we'll see how it goes. I will be there in Boston. I'm very excited to be covering the men's Frozen Four for the Locked On Kraken show, and as an extension of the Locked On NHL show. But for Jason Hernandez of Locked On Ducks, for Sarah Avampato of Locked On Kings, and my very special friend Kelly Schultz from women's hockey at Bemidji State, and of course the Premier Hockey Federation broadcasts, I am Erica Lindsay Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken. We're going to close out this square roundtable. Jason's got a friend. Oh, I see a PHF shout out there. We've got everyone in the screen. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're a Seattle Kraken fan, hold fast, stay true, and let's wait till Maddie Beniers gets out of Michigan.